So we'll begin with our prayers. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guru Shri Chaitanya Manovistam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadami Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamsha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhano Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामी नितिनामिने नमस्ते सारस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैता गदाधार शिवासदि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. So Hare Krishna. So this third canto is compared, as we all know, that Bhagavatam is compared to the body of the Lord. First and second canto, they are compared to the lotus feet of the Lord. Padau yadiyo prathamo dutiyo. And third canto is compared to the calves of the Lord. Titiya turyo katito yadoru. So in this third canto, we have seen so many variegated chapters and topics, including the description of Sarga, Visarga, Sankhya, Bhakti, and then embryology and time and so many things. And all these topics are interspersed with, interwoven with the stories. So many stories we heard in this canto. So many personalities came in this canto: Vidura, Uddhava, Swayambhuva, Manu, Brahmaji, Kumaras, Jai, Vijay, and all these wonderful personalities. So this canto is very, very interesting, full of wonderful personalities. So in this canto, there are 5 parts. So first 4 chapters describe the conversation between Vidura and Uddhava. The meeting of Vidura and Uddhava. That is the first 4 chapters. Then from 5 to 12 chapters, Maitreya is describing Sarga and Visarga. And after this, the pastimes of Narsimhadev come from pastimes of Varahadev come from 13 to 19 chapters. And from 20 to 24, Kardam Muni's household life is described. And the last part of this canto is the teachings of Lord Kapila. So that's how this entire canto starts. Entire canto goes on. So that's how we will begin this canto, our overview. And in this canto, what is the connection between this canto and the last canto? So in the second canto, in the end, Parikshit Maharaj, so Shaunakadi Rishis, they are describing, they are hearing from Suta Goswami all the creation pastimes. So after hearing all these creation pastimes, they in the end they are hearing from Shukdev Goswami. Suta Goswami is telling how Shukdev Goswami and Parikshit Maharaj, they are conversing, and Parikshit Maharaj asked 22 questions in the 8th chapter of the second canto. So Shukdev Goswami was answering all those questions, and then in the end of the second canto, Shukdev Goswami says, now I will describe about the Padma Kalpa, the first day of Brahma. So the sages, they say, oh, wait. We don't want to hear the Padma Kalpa now. So sages of Naimisharanya, they are telling to Suta Goswami. You told in the first canto, Vidura, he left home. He renounced his home. He went to the forest and he met Maitreya. So please tell us about that. Why did Vidura leave his family? Where all places he went. And please tell us about the conversation which happened between Vidura and Maitreya. So Sud Goswami says, Arre Parikshit Maharaj also asked the same question to Shukdev Goswami. So he tells, I will narrate how Shukdev Goswami replied. Because now he says, Shukdev Goswami, he told Vidura, he renounced home, he left his family, and on the way to his pilgrimage, he met Maitreya Muni. And he inquired from Maitreya Muni. So Parikshit Maharaj says, please tell us what was the conversation. Nahi alpartho dayastasya vidurasya amalatmanah tasmin variyasi prashna sadhu vadopabrimhita. Please tell us, because the conversation which happens between great personalities, they are very, very elevated. It must be on the highest level. Amalatmana, because Vidura was a great soul and Maitreya Muni was a great soul. He was also a very advanced sage. So the conversations, they must be on the highest level. Tasmin variyasi prashnaha and sadhu vadopabrimhitaha, and they must have been approved by the sages. So please tell us about that. So Sud Goswami, he continues that when being pleased with the questions of Parikshit, Shukdev Goswami, he continued. He says, please hear attentively. Dhritarashtra, he was blinded because he wanted to get the kingdom for his son. So many people, they came and told him, but he didn't listen. He tried to kill Pandavas by burning them in the house of lac. He didn't forbid Duryodhan when he tried to disrobe Draupadi. He never said anything. He cheated Yudhishthir Maharaj royally in the gambling match. So many things happened. Even Krishna came to make a peace deal, but he didn't listen. And therefore, Dhritarashtra and Duryodhan, they had lost all their piety. Punya, Shat Punya Lesha. So Vidura, he would regularly go and counsel Dhritarashtra because he was the minister. Although he was brother of Dhritarashtra, but because he was Dasiputra, was not given any royal throne. He would regularly go and tell Dhritarashtra, please return the share to the Pandavas, because Bhima is on their side. Bhima is hissing like snake. They have Krishna. Krishna is worshipped by the devatas. He is the king of the Yadus, and on top of that, Krishna is the dearmost well-wisher of the Pandavas. He is the supreme personality of Godhead. Please return the share to Pandavas and reject your son Duryodhan. This son of yours, this Duryodhan, he is sin personified. Saesha dosha purushas dvidastre grihan pravishto yamapatya matyaha pushnasi krishna dvimukhasya daivat tajatya shaivam kulakaushalaya. This Duryodhan, he is envious of the Supreme Lord. Purushas dvidaste. He will not do any welfare for you. He will not offer Pindadan, because Pinda is offered to the Supreme Lord Vishnu, and he is envious to Vishnu. This Duryodhan, this is the result of your sins which you have performed for millions of lifetimes, 10 million lifetimes. That's how very strongly Vidura is telling to Duryodhana, Dhritarashtra, just give up this son of yours. He will destroy. If you want welfare, tajatya shaivam kulakaushalaya. If you want welfare of your family, just give him up. And in this way, Vidura, he was very strongly speaking. Duryodhan, he heard all that, and he was trembling in anger. And as a result of that, he says, who has asked this son of kept mistress to come here? Just throw him out of this palace only with his breath. That means beat him so much that he becomes breathless. And Vidura, he hears, oh, this is the reward I'm getting for my lifetime of service. Sayittam Atul Banakarna Banai Bhratu Puramarma Sutaditopi Swayam Dhanurdvari Nidhaya Mayam Gata Vyatho Yad Urumanayanaha. This is how a devotee responds to the problems of his life. He considered that Yogamaya is acting on me and Mahamaya is acting on Duryodhan. He is doomed to be destroyed. Although the words, they were not flowers. Sa ittham ati ulban, they were like sharp, hot, fiery arrows. They entered the ears of the Vidura and went straight up to the heart. Bhratuh pura marmasu, his marma, sensitive points. His heart was pierced. So what he did, okay, there is no use of this palace now. That's why I came from, Yamaloka. He is Yamraj. He wanted to have a vacation. He was not getting vacation. So Krishna arranged for a vacation for him. And he was always thinking that I want to go to pilgrimage, but I am not getting chutti. Holiday nahi mil raha hai. This is how Krishna has organized, orchestrated this for me. So, he left his bow because he wanted to tell Dhritarashtra, don't worry. And he wanted to tell Duryodhan, don't worry and don't think that I will go and fight on the side of Pandavas. I will not do that. So therefore he considered this as mercy of the Lord and he left. As he was traveling, he went to so many places. He reached Prabhas. At Prabhas Kshetra, he came to know about the destruction of Kuru dynasty and Yadu dynasty. And it was very, very painful for Vidura to hear all that. He moved ahead. He reached Vrindavan. On the bank of Yamuna, he met with Uddhava. And a very interesting thing happened. Uddhava, he was already in separation from Krishna. And Vidura knew that Krishna has departed, all the Yadus have departed, Kurus have departed. But still, when Vidura meets Uddhava, he asks Uddhava about Krishna, about the Yadu dynasty, and about the Kuru dynasty. Why? Because these questions, they are not, coming from the intelligence. They are coming from the heart of Vidura. Vidura, being a pure devotee of the Lord, he could not accept. Just like the same thing happened in the first canto, 15th chapter. When Arjuna came back from Dwarka, Yudhishthir Maharaj in the 14th chapter, he asks series of questions, around 40 questions he is asking. He knows that Krishna has departed, but still he cannot accept it. By his intelligence, he could understand Krishna has departed, but his heart was not able to accept it. That's why he was asking. So therefore, Vidura, he was not able to accept this fact. So therefore, he was asking about Krishna. And after asking about all the personalities, he says, oh, Uddhava, I have gone to all the holy places and taken bath in all the rivers. Now I want to take bath in the river of Krishna Katha, which is most holy and most auspicious. Please tell us about that. Because Krishna Katha is complete nectar. He'll tell in the 5th chapter to Maitreya, Tadasya Kausharava Sharma Datu Hare Kathameva Katha Susaram Udhritya Pushpebhya Ivartha Bandho Shivaya Nah Kirtaya Tirtha Kirte. O Kausharava means Maitreya. O Maitreya, please tell me about the pastimes of Krishna. Hari Katha is Katha Susaram. It is the essence of all the Katha. Just like a honeybee takes the essence from each and every flower, similarly, please take out the essence of all the Katha, that is Krishna Katha. As Vidura, he asked all this. Now, 2nd chapter. Uddhava, he goes into ecstasy, remembering Krishna. And Vidura, Uddhava, he could not reply. Shukdev Goswami explains the exalted position of Uddhava. Uddhava was not an ordinary personality. He is a Nitya Siddha Bhakta, Nitya Siddha devotee of the Lord. Yah panchahayano matra pratar ashaya yachita tannai chadrachayanyasya saparayam balalilaya. Even as a child, 5 years old child, sa panchahayano matra. 5 years old child, he was not attracted to playing with his friends and other things. He would play with dolls of Krishna. When his mother would call him, he would not come for breakfast also. He was absorbed. Therefore, although that was the childhood, then Shukdev Goswami says now, Uddhava, he had spent whole life in service of Krishna, but he was not bored or satiated. Bahut ho gaya, kitna seva karenge? No. Because in transcendence, in spiritual world, nobody is satisfied with service. And only satisfied with service. So only Krishna Katha satisfies devotees, and Krishna Katha never satisfies devotees. So therefore, with Uddhava, although he has become old, not physically, that means he has spent lots of years, so many years have gone by, but still he was not satiated. His devotion didn't slacken. Ami briddha jaratur likhite ka paekar mane kichu smarane na hoye. ना देखिए नयने ना सुनिए श्रवणे तबु लिखिए बड़ा विस्मय. Kaviraj Goswami is telling, 94 years I am writing, my hands are trembling, I can't see anything, I can't remember anything, still I am writing. It is very astonishing. So there is no satiation in Krishna consciousness. In fact, the more you grow old, the more the opportunities to serve increase. As soon as Uddhava he heard the questions, he went into ecstasy. He remained silent for one muhurta. He was absorbed, tears coming out of his eyes, he was absorbed. That's the condition of a pure devotee. Whenever he hears about Krishna, his remembrance is awakened. That is called as Uddipan. For a pure devotee is intimately connected with Krishna, and he gets excited, he gets ecstasy when he remembers Krishna. And sadhakas, they go into ecstasy when they hear some controversy of the material world. That's the difference. So Uddhava, he was ecstatic. And then Vidura could see, wow, this devotee Uddhava is such a great personality. He's in ecstasy. And then somehow Uddhava came back to this human plane again. And out of sympathy, because Uddhava could see that, oh, Vidura is also very morose. So just to pacify him, he first, speaks some philosophical conclusions. He says, "O Uddhava, O Vidura, what is the use of lamenting? What is the use of asking for the welfare? Krishna Dyumani Nimloche, Krishna's sun has set. Our house has been swallowed by the snake of time. So what is the use of asking for our welfare? In fact, oh Uddhava, people of this world, they are unfortunate because they could not realize Krishna as God. Few people, they thought Krishna is a great king or minister or diplomat. These yadus, they are more unfortunate. Although they were staying with Krishna, they could understand that Krishna is Paramatma, not Bhagwan. And I am all the more unfortunate because I could see and understand that Krishna is Bhagwan, but still I could not serve him properly. Durbhago batalokoyam yadavo nitaramapi ye samvasanto na vidur harim meena ivodupam. Just like in Samudra Manthan, the moon came out of the ocean. When the moon was in ocean, all the fishes were thinking, oh, this is another type of fish. They could not understand the glory of this moon. Similarly, all these yadus, they could not understand that Krishna is the Supreme Lord. But still, yadus are glorious because they are not bewildered by the material energy of the world. And Then Uddhava remembers the beauty of the Lord. Yanmartya Leelo Paikam Swayoga Maya Balam Darshayatam Grihitaha Vismapanam Swasya Cha Saubagarde Param Padam Bhushana Bhushanangam. Don't think Krishna is an ordinary mortal. He is performing pastimes in this world, but all his pastimes are spiritual and transcendental. He has no material form. Yan Martya Leela, his Leela is like Martya, ordinary mortal. He is not ordinary. All his pastimes are enacted by internal potency. Vismapanam swasya cha saubagarde. Even the avatars of the Lord are surprised. Param padam bhushana bhushanangam. When somebody wears ornaments, the person becomes beautiful. But when Krishna wears ornaments, the ornaments are beautified. And he says, "Oh Vidura, why are you asking me? You have personally seen the glory of Krishna in Rajasuya. Yad dharma suno bata Rajasuye. In the Rajasuya Yagya, you have seen all the personalities from all the worlds. Brahma, Shiva, Indra, Chandra, everybody came and they were awestruck seeing the beauty of Krishna. And they said, oh, Brahma, he must have, retired after creating all these creations. But this Krishna, his beauty is beyond any creation of Brahmaji. That is the glory of Krishna. Everybody was attracted to Krishna, but the attraction of the gopis is the supreme. Because whatever they were doing, they were attracted to Krishna. Yadohane vahanane mathanopalepa Prenkenkanarvaruditokshanamarsjanado Gayanti chainamanurakt dhiyavashrukanthyo Dhanya brajastriya rukramachittayana. Whatever the gopis were doing, milking cows and threshing grains, taking care of the children, they were always thinking about Krishna. That Supreme Lord, he appears for the welfare of people in general. He is supremely powerful. Actually, I get bewildered, when I see Krishna acting in so many different ways. He is unborn, but still he is taking birth. That is bewildering. Out of fear, he is going to Mathura. That personality, because of whom fear personified fears. Yad vidheti swayam bhayam, and he is going to Mathura out of fear of Kamsa. This is so very wonderful and astonishing. This is bewildering me. And when I see that, oh, Krishna is going to his parents and asking for forgiveness, when Krishna came back to Mathura, he went to Devaki and Vasudev, he begged pardon. Oh, my mother, oh, father, we could not serve you properly. Uddhava is telling all these creates bewilderment. And it gave me such pain. It would give me pain when I would see Krishna going to Ugrasena and standing in front of him with folded hands saying, oh king, please let us know what can we do for you. Who is Krishna? Is Supreme Lord. And he is standing in front of Ugrasena. And then he remembers the mercy of the Lord. I saw in the Rajasuya Yagya, he gave liberation to Shishupal. He gave liberation to Putana. And the famous verse comes. Aho bakiyam stanakalakutam jigham sayapyayadapya sadhavi lebhe gatim dhatri uchitam tatonyam kamabadayalum sharanam brajema. Who is that personality who will not take shelter of Krishna, who gave liberation to Putana, who came to kill him? So all these wonderful things bewilder me. So therefore, he says, Uddhava, out of his humility, he says, actually, these demons, I consider them greater. Because they were so very absorbed in Krishna. I am not so much absorbed in Krishna. And then after speaking like this, Uddhava, he didn't tell the disappearance of Krishna, because devotees, they don't like to discuss about that. So again describes the pastimes of Krishna which he performed in Braja, his birth, going to Vrindavan, then doing so many activities and pastimes in Vrindavan forest and Yamuna, killing demons, subduing Kalia, lifting Govardhan, performing Rasa Leela. Then in the third chapter, he describes the pastimes which Krishna performed outside of Vrindavan, killing Kamsa, marrying Rukmini, then before that going to Sandipani Muni, then marrying Rukmini, uh, winning the hands of all the other princesses, bringing Parijata. Then he killed Narkasur. All these pastimes, Uddhava is remembering. And then he says, Krishna acts in wonderful ways to give fame to his devotees. He arranged this whole battle of Kurukshetra to give fame to Pandavas. And in the battle, when he saw that Duryodhan is, lying down with his thigh broken, he was not so happy. Sakarna dushashana saubalanam kumantra pakena hata shriyayushaha Suyodhanam sanucharam shayanam bhagnor urvyam nanananda pashyan. This verse tells the heart of Krishna. When Krishna saw Duryodhan lying on the battlefield with his thigh broken, he was not happy. Because for Krishna, everyone is his son. All living entities are his part and parcel. So Krishna was not happy. And then Krishna only orchestrated the disappearance of his own dynasty in the form of curse of Brahmanas. His own dynasty, it had become a burden on earth. Krishna Chakravarti Thakur clarifies that this was not, there are two types of burden, he says. Burden of beast and burden of love. Burden of Yadus, it was not burden of beast, it was burden of love Krishna was carrying. Chakravarti Thakur gives three examples. The burden of lover carrying female lover, burden of a child on the lap of his mother, and burden of wealth on businessman. So no, all these people, they are not, they never complain about bhari ho rahe, no. Another example he gives, burden of ornaments on the, burden of heavy ornaments on a woman. No woman will complain that bhari ho raha hai, So that is how Krishna, when Krishna is telling this is the burden on earth, this was not burden, this was a burden of separation. So Krishna orchestrated that, and then he established Yudhishthir Maharaj on the throne of the world. He delivered, he protected Parikshit, who was there in the womb of Uttara, and he allowed Yudhishthir Maharaj to perform three sacrifices, three Ashwamedha sacrifices. And that's how he spread his glory all over the world. Snigdha smitavalokena vacha piyush kalpaya charitrena navadyena Sriniketana Chatmana. So therefore, Lord displayed his unlimited opulences just to attract everyone. Snigdha, Smita, Avalokena, by his glances, by his smiles, by his beautiful, mesmerizing speech, he attracted the hearts of each and every living entity. And he displayed detachment also from his own family members, and he arranged for their departure in the form of cursing of the sages. So then, in the fourth chapter, Uddhava is continuing what happened. He says, with the permission of Krishna, all the Yadus, they went to Prabhas Kshetra. There they drank liquor and they used harsh words against each other under the influence of intoxication, and they destroyed each other. And somebody may ask, but how could this happen in the presence of the Lord? The Lord himself was there. Uddhava says, this is the action of Lord's Yoga Maya. Otherwise, no one else could destroy the Yadus. So therefore, because of Lord's Yoga Maya, it all happened. Then after the destruction of all the Yadu dynasty, Krishna, he was sitting under the banyan tree. And before that, when he was in Dwarka, he told me to go to Badarika ashram, because Krishna knew that I have done all my activities, all the work is done, but one thing is remaining. I could not give my darshan to the sages of Badarika ashram. And I have to send my representative who will describe my pastimes to them. And Uddhava is the best personality for that. So he instructed Uddhava that you please go to the sages of Badarika ashram. But Uddhava says, I could not bear separation. I followed Krishna to Prabhas. From Dwarka, I went to Prabhas. And when I reached there, the destruction had already happened, and I saw Krishna sitting under the banyan tree. I approached him and I offered my obeisances. At that time, Maitreya Muni also came there. He was also a great devotee of the Lord. So when Krishna, he saw Uddhava, he didn't even recognize Maitreya. Because Maitreya, it is described that at that time, Maitreya was not a pure devotee. He was a Gyan Mishra Bhakta. So Krishna didn't acknowledge the presence of Maitreya, and he spoke to Uddhava. He said, Uddhava, I will reward you the highest benediction. This life will be your last life. And I will speak to you the knowledge which I gave to Brahma. But I'll tell you something more. I'll tell you about my Paramam Sthitim. The word used is Paramam Sthitim. Paramam Sthitim means I'll tell you about the pastimes which I didn't even tell Brahmaji. That means pastimes of Vrindavan. And in this way, Krishna spoke to Uddhava. And Uddhava tells to Vidura, I was overwhelmed when I heard that. And I was really, ecstatic. And Uddhava, he spoke to Krishna. O Supreme Lord, I am not interested in all the four Purusharthas. I prefer your service. I am bewildered. How are you acting in such wonderful ways? Bewildering ways. Karmanyani hasya bhavo bhavasyate. Durga shrayothari bhayat palayanam. Kalatmano yat pramadayutashramam. Swatman rate khidyati dhir vidamiha. Oh my Lord, I am bewildered. The great sages, the great scholars are also bewildered when they see your, contradictory activities. You have nothing to do, still you are engaging in all these activities. You are unborn, still you take birth. You are self-satisfied, still you have married 16,108 wives. It's all confusing. And on top of that, you would come to me and ask for consultation. That would bewilder me even more. And genuinely, Krishna would go to Uddhava. It was not just for the namesake. अरे इसको ही पूछ लेते हैं एक बार. No. So Uddhava is telling all this. As we are discussing, if you can just go through this Subodhini, it will be more nice. I think you all can just go through the Subodhini also. It will be very interesting to go through this canto. So then Uddhava requests Krishna, Oh Krishna, please explain about yourself. I want to hear about your knowledge. So when Uddhava requested this, Krishna said, okay, I'll tell you about my Paramam Sthitim. And Krishna spoke in great detail. So Krishna spoke to Uddhava in two occasions. First, when he was in Dwaraka, and that is Uddhava Gita. And in Prabhasa Kshetra, he spoke to Uddhava second time. Then Uddhava departed. So somebody may ask, how could Uddhava live in separation of Krishna? Because Uddhava was given a service. Service mitigates the pain of grief, pain of separation. Sorry, grief of separation, mitigates grief. So that's how Uddhava had a service. He had to go to Badrika Ashram to explain the signs of Krishna to the sages. That's how he could survive. So that's how Uddhava spoke to Vidurji all that. And that's how they spent their night there. Vidura, now he asks a question. Please tell me, what did Krishna speak to you? Please explain me all that. So Uddhava, seeing the etiquette that is called as Maryada Vyatikram, because Vidura was a very elderly personality, and although Uddhava was qualified to speak, he is a supreme devotee of the Lord, but still he didn't do so. He told, nearby only Maitreya is there, and at the bank of Ganga. He heard all the instructions which Krishna gave to me. Very humbly he heard, with his shoulders lowered. He was hearing all that. Anata Kandharam. Please go to Maitreya and hear from him. So Vidura, he departs, he takes leave, he reaches the bank of Ganga, and there he meets Maitreya. And then, 5th chapter, when Vidura meets Maitreya, he is very, very careful of the etiquette, because he didn't ask about Krishna's pastimes, immediately. He asked some philosophical questions first, because he was thinking, Krishna didn't speak to Maitreya directly. And if I ask him some higher questions, he may get embarrassed. So therefore, out of his humility and sensitivity, he asked something which is very, very relevant for people in general. Sukhaya karmani karoti loko na tai sukham vanyaduparamam va vindeta bhuyah tat eva dukkham yadatra uktam bhagavan vadennaha. O Maitreya Muni, people in the world, they carry out so many activities to mitigate distress. Sukhaya, sukh ke liye karya karte hain, but they never get happiness. Na tai sukham, on the contrary, they get uparamamva, they get pain. So please tell us, how can living entities be free of this situation? Please tell us about that. Because people in the world, they have already become away, they have gone away from Krishna. Janasya Krishna vimukhasya daivat adharmashilasya sudukhitasya anugrahaye hacharanti nunam bhutani bhadrani bhutani bhavyani janardanasya. Janasya Krishna vimukha. People of this world, they have become away, they have turned their faces away from Krishna. And great souls like you, they travel. Anugrahaye hacharanti nunam. They travel for the welfare of these people. Bhutani bhavyani janardanasya. So therefore, please tell me the instruction. Please, tell me about the glories of the Supreme Lord, about the principles of devotional service. Please tell me about the Purusha avatars. Now, he didn't go directly into the Leela of Krishna. He first asks about Purusha avatars, then he asks about Virata Rupa, then Leela avatar, then he asks about, please tell me about the living conditions of people in this world and how the different living entities, they take birth. And then he says, please keep on reciting the glories of Krishna, describe the Leela avatars, because our mind is not satisfied. So Maitreya may say, Arey, your father is Vyasadeva. You must have heard a lot from him, right? So still you are not satisfied. So he says, Arey, I have heard enough of Mahabharata, but I am not satisfied with Mahabharata. Because all these topics of Mahabharata, they are not satisfying. They are lower topics. Paravaresham Bhagavam Svratani Shrutani me Vyasa Mukhada Bhikshnam Atripnuma Shulla Sukhavahanam Tesham Rite Krishna Katham Ritaugat. I have heard about Para Avara a lot. Para Avara means Dharma Artha Kama Moksha. बहुत सुना है इसके बारे में. व्यास के मुख से, व्यास देव से बहुत सुना है. Shrutani me Vyasa Mukhat. But still, I am not satisfied. Atripnuma, why? Shulla Sukha, Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha, they give very little happiness. I will be satisfied only with Krishna Katha Amrit Ogha. Ogha means ocean. All these Dharma, Artha, Kama is a drop. I want ocean. So Maitreya says, but you have heard about Krishna also, right? You have heard about Krishna sufficiently. Vidura says, who can be satisfied hearing about Krishna? Kastripnuya tirtha padobhidhana satreshu asuribhidyamana yakkarana nadim purushasya yato bhava pradam geharatim chinatti. Who can be satisfied? Kastripnuyat. Who can be satisfied hearing about Krishna? Who is Tirth Pada? He makes the place of pilgrimage into place of pilgrimage. Yes, Suribhiridyamana, it is worshipped by great personalities and devotees of the Lord. Anybody who hears Krishna Katha, Karna Nadi, Bhava Pradam Geharati, will be free from the family attachment. The purpose of Mahabharata is to attract the people who are absorbed in material world. But I want to hear about Krishna Katha. Because if you hear about Krishna Katha, what will happen? Sa Shraddha-dhanasya vivardhamana virakti manyatra karoti pumsaha. Shraddha-dhanasya vivardhamana, your faith will increase. Virakti anyatra, you will become detached. Hare padanu smriti nirvritasya, you will be satisfied hearing about Krishna. Samasta dukkha payamashu dhatte, very quickly you will be free from all the miseries of the material world. Please speak about that. Sinful people, they can never understand this. They are only interested in kukatha of this world. They are averse to Krishna Katha. They are interested in kukatha. But Krishna Katha is the essence of all the topics. Tadasya kaushārava sharma dhatu Hare kathameva katha susaram Udhritya pushpebhya ivarta bandho Shivaya naha kirtayati kirte. Kausharava, O Maitreya, please speak about Krishna. Hari Katha is Katha Susaram. It is the essence of all the pastimes. Just like a honeybee takes the essence of each and every flower, please take out the essence of the Vedic literature, that is Krishna Katha. Hearing all this, Maitreya could not decide, abhi pehle kya bolu? So, seeing the confusion on the face of Maitreya, Vidura hinted, please speak about Purushavatars first. Pehle Purushaavatar bataiye. So then, in the remaining chapter, Maitreya, he starts the description of creation of this material universe. And in great detail, he described all that, we have heard how from Lord's body, Prakriti comes out, Dravya comes out, and then Lord impregnates that Dravya with Kala, Karma, Jiva, Swabhav, it transforms into Mahatattva. Then under the influence of the time and modes of nature, the Mahatattva gets transformed into mode of passion and ignorance and gets, further differentiated into this Adhidaiva, Adhyatma and Adhibhuta. And from that, mind and devatas and the sense objects and tanmatras and all that, everything is formed. So it describes the purpose of the whole process of creation. And we have heard, after all the elements of creation are formed, but still there is no activity which is happening because All the elements are lying separately. Somebody has to put them together. So the devatas, they come. The sense devatas, they have already been created by the Lord. So they now offer prayers to Karano Dakshai Vishnu. So the whole remaining chapter is the prayers of Karano Dakshai Vishnu. Prayers to Karano Dakshai Vishnu by the devatas. One of the verses is very beautiful. How when we serve the Supreme Lord, he can vanquish all the sinful reactions. Marganti yatte mukhapadma nidai chandai suparanai rishayo viviktai yasyagamarshoda saridvaraya param padam tirtha padam prapanna. The great sages, carried by the wings of the Vedas, they search for the nest of your lotus-like face. Beautiful poetry. So, by taking shelter of this Ganga, of the lotus feet of the Lord, one can be freed from all the sinful reactions. Then after that, in the 6th chapter, the development of the gigantic universal form is described. How when from all the devatas they offered their prayers, then Lord, he glanced and sent his Bibhrat Shakti, cohesive energy. And all the elements, they combined together to form a golden universe which stayed inactive for 1000 years. Then after that, Karano Dakshai Vishnu expanded and entered into this universe as Garbho Dakshai Vishnu. And then further things happened, leading to the creation of consciousness of jivas, 10 types of life forms, and 3 types of shaktis. And then the further chapter describes how the Virat Purusha is developing from the gross organ. The gross organ manifests in Virat Rupa, and from that all the sense devatas and all the other things. We are not going to the detail of that. So this is a chart which you can see in the Subodhini, how from the gross organ of the Virat Rupa, when the DT enters into that, then the subtle element, subtle sense organs develop and the sense objects develop. So all these are described. Then after describing such elaborate description of how Virat, from the head of the Virat Rupa, all the heavenly planets they manifest, from the waist, from the leg of the Virat Rupa, lower planets develop, from the abdomen of the Virat Rupa, Bhumandal develops and Bhuvar Loka develops, all these things. Then Maitreya Muni, he expresses his unworthiness. He tells, I am not qualified to speak about the pastimes of Krishna, because Krishna's pastimes are unlimited. Who am I? I am a limited, very insignificant personality. But still I will glorify. Why? Tathapi kirtayamyanga yatha mati yatha shrutam kirtir harer swam satkartum giram anyabhidha satim. Still I will glorify. Tathapi kirtayami yatha mati yatha shrutam. Whatever I have heard and whatever my intelligence allows. Because if I don't speak, my tongue will become unchaste. Another place example is given. I will glorify Krishna just like the birds, they fly as per their capacity of the wings. I will also glorify Krishna as far as my intelligence allows. Because glorification of the Krishna is the highest perfectional gain for a living entity. Ekanta labham vachaso nupumsam shushloka maule gunavadamahu Shrutescha vidvad virupakritayam katha sudhayam upasam prayogam. Ekant labha, the only perfectional gain of human life is human speech. Vachaso, highest perfectional gain for human speech is Shushloka Maule Gunavadamahu, to glorify the pious actor. The pious actor is who? Who is that pious actor? That Supreme Lord. Shrutescha vidvadbhirupakritayam. Shrutescha, we have to hear. The purpose of ear is served when we hear about Krishna. Katha Sudhayam. Katha Sudha, drink this nectar of Hari Katha through the ears. Upasamprayogam. As far as your capacity goes, please hear, because the glories of the Lord are inconceivable even to Brahma. The firstborn personality, he can also never understand. And Lord, by his wonderful potency, bewilders even great, logicians and scholars. Mainam api mohinim. Great mystics are also bewildered by the illusory energy of Krishna. So therefore, I simply offer my respects with my mind, words, and senses. Then in the seventh chapter, Vidura, he asks further questions to Maitreya Muni. So he tells, so he heard from Maitreya in the last chapter, in the fifth chapter, that Lord interacts with the modes of material nature and makes this universe. So Vidura gets a question. How is it possible for the Lord, who is transcendental, to interact with the modes of the material nature? How is this possible? Lord is unchangeable. How does he create something which undergoes change? Because why does he create this universe which is full of change? Because a child, when he's playing, he creates. He makes small castle, or he creates some things because he has a desire to enjoy. But Lord has no such desire. He is aptakam. He is swatah tripta. He is satisfied in himself. He does not need anything outside. So why is he engaging in all these creation pastimes? Then he asks about living entities. He says, how does Jiva, who is all spiritual, gets entangled into material world? How is this possible? And why the living entity suffers? Please tell me about all that. I'm confused. I'm bewildered. So Maitreya, he dispels all the misconceptions of Vidura. He tells, actually, your question is illogical. Lord, he is never connected to the modes of material nature. He is never affected. Etadishanamishasya prakritisthopi tadgunai na yujyate sadatmastai yatha buddhi tadashraya. The Lord is never affected by the modes of material nature. And the question about Jiva, living entities, they suffer only because of misidentification. They start identifying themselves with the body. That's why they suffer. Otherwise, there is no connection between the soul and the matter. That is the same question which Parikshit Maharaj had asked in the second canto, 8th chapter. First question. How can connection between Jiva and matter happen? Jiva is spiritual, matter is material. How does it happen? So in the answer, Shukdev Goswami says, actually there is no connection. It is a dream state. Only it happens in dream. So that's how he's telling again here. Living entity, they start identifying with the body, just like when a moon is reflected on the water. When the water moves, a foolish, ignorant person thinks that the moon is also moving. That's how living entities, they start identifying with the body. So when something is happening to the body, they are thinking, oh, I am becoming old. Oh, I am having disease. Oh, my relatives are dying. My property, my children, my relatives, Atma, Jaya, Suta, Agar, Pashu, Dravina, Bandhu, Rajya. All these are misidentifications because nothing belongs to soul. How to come out of this misconception? The only solution is devotional service. When we serve Krishna, one can come out of this misconception. अशेष संक्लेश शमं विधत्ते गुणानुवादा श्रवणं मुरारे किम वा पुनस्तत् चरणारविन्दं पराग सेवा रतिरात्मलब्धः अशेष संक्लेश शमम. Unlimited miseries can be vanquished by engaging in devotional service. Gunanuvada Shravanam Murare. When we hear the glories of the Supreme Lord, one can be relieved of all the miseries. Then what to speak of those people? Kimva punastat. What to speak of those people who have attained attraction for the lotus feet of the Lord? Parag Seva Rati. Anyone who has developed the attraction for service, he is the most fortunate personality. So after hearing about all these wonderful answers, Vidura, he becomes very, very happy. He says, "Oh Maitreya Muni, you have dispelled my doubts perfectly. Sanchinna samshayo mahyam tava sukta sina vibho." By your sword of, knowledge, by the sword of your sukta. Sukta means convincing words. The convincing words, they have acted like sword and they have cut off all my doubts. Ubhayatrapi, regarding doubts regarding soul and doubts regarding super soul. Mano me sampradhavati, now my mind is established properly. We have given very accurate explanations. And I have understood that there are two types of people who are happy. A sense gratifier, grossly sense gratifier, and a pure devotee. They are happy. Those who are in between, they are always miserable, want to enjoy also a little bit, but they have heard about Krishna, they have developed some attraction for Krishna, they are most miserable. Most of the devotees, they fit in this category. Third one, miserable. ये भी सुना है, ये भी देखा है, ये भी छोड़ना है लेकिन इच्छा है, ये पाना है लेकिन इच्छा नहीं हो रही है. यश्च मूढ़तमो लोके यश्च बुद्धे परम गतः तौ उभौ सुखमेधेते क्लिश्यति अंतरितो जना. क्लिश्यति जो बीच वाले हैं, antarito, those who are middle, they are suffering. How to, I have heard, then he says, thank you, I have heard so many things from you, but my knowledge will become realization when I'll render service to you. So this is a very important thing. Vidura is telling, artha bhavam vinishchitya pratitasyapi natmanah tacchapi yushmacharana sevayaham paranude. Oh Maitreya, I have heard so many things from you, but if I serve you by service, this knowledge will become realization. Because when we serve the devotees of the Lord, yat sevaya bhagavataha, when we serve the devotee of the Lord, two things happen. We develop attraction for the Supreme Lord and all the material miseries go away. Rati raso bhavet. Rati raso, one develops attraction for the Supreme Lord, and padayor vyasanardanaha, one becomes free from the miseries of the world. Otherwise, to get association and service to the devotees is very rare. Anyone who has not performed sufficient pious activities, they can never get service of devotees. Durapa patapasa seva vaikunthavartmasu yatropagiyate nityam deva devo janardana. Very, very difficult to get service to the devotees. Not just pure devotees. Service of a practicing sadhaka is very rare. Seva Vaikuntha Vartamasu. Vaikuntha Vartamasu means those who are on the progressive path of liberation. They have not perfected themselves, but they are endeavoring on that path. To get service of that personality is also rare. So it is a great opportunity when we are getting service. And after telling all this, Vidura, he tells, yeah, after creating this Mahatattva, then Karanodakshai Vishnu expanded as Garbhodakshai and he manifested Virat Rupa. And then this entire chapter, Vidura, he asks further questions. He asks about the various types of vibhutis of the Lord, Sarga, Visarga, Gunavatars, Varnashram. The same set of questions which were asked by Parikshit Maharaj in the second canto, 8th chapter. So in response to that, and after asking all these questions, Vidura tells to Maitreya, I have firm faith and conviction that you can answer my questions. So a disciple should have faith and conviction in the spiritual master's ability to solve the problems. That is what Arjuna told to Krishna in the Kurukshetra. When Arjuna, he spoke so many things, Arjuna could have told, why are you asking me? I am your friend. Here you have Vyasadeva, Vasishtha. Go and ask them. He says, no. Nahi prapashyami mamapanudya yashokamucho shanamindriyanam avapya bhumao sapatnam ridyam rajyam suranam apichadipatyam. I don't see anyone else who can solve my problem. Only you. That's how Vidura is telling to Maitreya, only you can solve my doubts because you are perfect. Nothing is impossible for you. So therefore, please explain me. So in the 8th chapter, when Maitreya Muni, he heard further questions. Maitreya Muni, very interesting. Vidura, he spoke that, oh Maitreya, you are the best. You can solve all my problems. And in response to that, now Maitreya Muni, what he is doing? Vidura glorified Maitreya. Maitreya is glorifying Vidura. That is a reciprocation which happens between a speaker and the hearer. The audience glorifies the speaker and the speaker glorifies the audience. Sat sevaniyo batapuru vamsho yallo kapalo bhagavat pradhanaha babhuvitheha jitakirti malam pade pade nutanayasya bhikshnam. Sat sevaniyo, oh Vidura, your family is great. You are born in the great family of Kurus. Satasevaniyo Batapuru, the Puru Vamsha, the royal dynasty of Puru, it is famous for serving the great personalities. And they are not ordinary kings. Yallo Kapalo, they are Lokapal. And Bhagavat Pradhanaha, they are the best of the devotees. And you are born in that family. So you are also great. And because you are asking questions, Krishna Katha, Pade Pade Nutanayasya Bhikshnam, it is becoming newer and newer every moment. Vidura had asked a question, how people in this world, they can be free of these problems. They are trying to be happy, but they are miserable. So Maitreya, now he's answering. Soham nrinam shulla sukhaya dukkham mahadagatanam viramaya tasya pravartaye bhagavatam puranam yadaha sakshat bhagavan rishibhyah. People in the world, they are working for happiness, shulla sukha, but they don't get sufficient happiness. They get very little happiness. And mahad dukkha, little happiness and lots of pain. They don't know how to be happy. Therefore, Pravartaye Bhagavatam Puranam. Therefore, Vyasadev, he spoke Bhagavat Purana. Yadaha Sakshat Bhagavan Rishibhya. That Bhagavatam I will now speak to you. And this Bhagavatam, it is not something new, it is coming in disciplic succession. Sankarshan, Lord Sankarshan spoke to Sanat Kumar. Sanat Kumar spoke to Sankhyayan Muni. Sankhyayan Muni spoke to Parashar and Brihaspati. Parashar spoke to Maitreya. That's how it is coming in Parampara. That Bhagavatam I'll speak to you. So after explaining the glories and the descent of Bhagavatam, Maitreya, he starts the description of Sarga again. And in that Sarga, Visarga, sorry, he explains what happened at the beginning of the day of Brahma. After the night of Brahma ended, we all know when Brahma sleeps, all the lower planetary systems, Bhu, Bhuva, Swa, they all get submerged in the waters of Garbhodaksha ocean, Garbhodak ocean. So when Brahmaji gets up, after 1,000 yuga cycles, so day of Brahma is 1,000, night of Brahma is 1,000. So, he is thinking what to do now. And he offers his prayers to the Supreme Lord, and Supreme Lord inspires him. And on top of that, Maitreya Muni, he also tells what happens at the birth of Brahma. So when Brahma takes birth from the lotus flower which comes out of the navel of Garbhodaksha Vishnu, and he is looking around asking, who am I, what I have to do? So he develops 4 heads. Because he looks around in 4 directions, he develops 4 heads. And then he heard the words Tapa, Tapa, and he performed tapasya for 1,000 years, and he got darshan of the Lord. Beautiful darshan of the Lord. Mukhena lokartihara smitena parispurat kundala manditena shonaitena dharabimba bhasa pratyarhayantam shunasena shubhrava. Beauty of the Lord is described. Mukhena lok arti hara. When you see the beautiful face of the Lord, all the distress is gone. So Brahmaji, when he sees the beautiful body of Garbhodaksha Vishnu, he offers beautiful prayers. And this next chapter, the 9th chapter, the half of this chapter is full of the prayers of Brahmaji. He glorifies the Supreme Lord as the Supreme Person from whom this entire world is created. All these living entities who cannot take shelter of you, my Lord, they are unfortunate. But I take shelter of you. Natah param paramayad bhavatah swarupam ananda matrama vikaram avidha varchah pashyami vishwasrijam ekam anantamadyam bhutendriyatmakam ta upashritosmi. Natah param. Oh my Lord, I do not see anyone superior to you. You are the embodiment of happiness. Ananda matram avikalpam. There is nobody greater than you. You never undergo any transformation. Therefore, I take shelter of you. Why should I surrender to you only? Because you are the most auspicious. Your form, personal form, is most auspicious. Tadva idam bhuvana mangala mangalaya dhyane smanodarashitam ta upasakanam. Tadva idam bhuvana mangala. Your form creates auspiciousness in this entire universe. And you enter the heart of your devotees through the ears. So this is a very beautiful verse. The ears, you can see the Lord through the ears. You can smell the fragrance of the tulasi, which is offered at the lotus feet of the Lord, through the ears. So ears are very special organs. You can see, you can taste pibantiye, you can drink the nectar, you can smell the fragrance. ये तु त्वदीय चरणाम्बुजकोश गंधम जिघरन्ति कर्ण विवरै श्रुतिवातनीतम. Very beautiful, metaphorical explanation is given. Ye tu tvadiya, oh my Lord, your lotus feet, devotees offer tulasi and saffron. Ye tu tvadiya charana ambuja kosha gandham. That beautiful fragrance is coming from your lotus feet. And devotees can smell that aroma. How? Jigharanti. Jigharanti means they can smell. Karna vivarai, through the ears. And to smell, there should be air. When you are passing by a garden and the air blows, you can smell the fragrance of the flowers. So this fragrance of the lotus feet of the Lord is carried to the ears through the scriptures. Shruti Vata Nitam. Very interesting. Shruti, the scriptures, they are the air. They carry the fragrance of the lotus feet of the Lord. Bhaktya grihita charana paraya cha tesham na paishinath hridayam buruhat swapumsam. And the devotees, bhaktya, the grihit charana, they catch hold of your lotus feet by practicing devotional service. Na paishinath, and for them you are never separated. So in this way, Brahma offers prayers and then he says, oh my Lord, I am really suffering. I am really lamenting seeing the condition of the living entities of the world who are royally suffering in this world. Inside they are suffering from hunger, thirst, kapha, vata, pitta, always disturbed. Externally they are suffering because of heat, cold, rain, winter. Not only that, on the subtle level, they are suffering the most because of their lust. Shutritridhatu birimam hurardyamana shitoshna vata varsha itare taracha kamagnina sakalayo nishudahyamana. Kama Agni is burning each and every living entity. Oh my Lord, I am just lamenting their state. Sampashyato mana urukrama sidate, I am lamenting. Because these living entities, they are so unfortunate. They don't take shelter of the devotees of the Lord. If they take shelter of your devotees, they can attain perfection. But they don't take shelter. And they are bound in bodily identification. Although those who are non-devotees, they try so much. Whole day they are working, and because of the intense work they suffer insomnia. They cannot sleep at night, they cannot eat properly. Whatever plans they have, they get frustrated in their plans, but still they don't take shelter of you, my Lord. But your devotees, they can see you through their ears. So previously Brahmaji said they can smell your fragrance through their ears. Now in this verse, he is telling they can see you through their ears. When devotees, they render devotional service, you reside on their heart, which is like a lotus. Tvam bhakti yoga paribhavitarit saroja ase shrute ikshita patho nanunata pumsam. Shruta ikshita. Shruta means to hear, ikshita means to see. We can see through the ears. And Lord, oh my Lord, you are so merciful. In whatever form your devotee wants to see you, you appear in that form. Yad yad dhiyata urugaya vibhavayanti tad tad vapuh pranayase sadanugrahaya. In whatever form your devotee wants to see you, you appear in that form. That is the glory of your devotee, O my Lord. Anyone who chants your names, they get liberated. So therefore, you are so glorious. So after offering respects to the Lord, he describes the Lord in the form of time factor. And then he says, oh my Lord, at the end of this day of Brahma, at the end of my day, I live for 2 parardhas, 50 and 50. And when I sleep, you are still there lying on the bed, and all bed of snake, bed of Ananta, and all the living entities enter into your body. You are peacefully sleeping on your bed. Then Brahmaji makes 4 requests. Oh my Lord, please empower me so that I can execute this service of creation. Oh my Lord, please protect me from false ego. These are the same things which Brahmaji asks in the 2nd canto before Chatushloki. That's why Lord spoke Chatushloki Bhagavatam in response to these prayers of Brahma. Empower me, protect me from false ego, and save me from any deviation. Oh my Lord, please get up, please wake up. And this is prayer which we speak when we wake up the Lord. In temple, whenever in the morning or in the afternoon, deities, they go to sleep, and when they get up, they are woken up with this verse. So savadabra bhagavan karuno vivriddha prema smitena nayanam buruham vijrimbhan utthaya vishwa vijayaya chano vishadam madhyagira panyatat purusha puranaha. So Sav Adabra Karuno. The Supreme Lord is Adabra Karuna, unlimitedly merciful. Oh my Lord, please wake up and open your eyes. With your loving glances, you can purify our mind. Prema smitena nayanam buruham vijrimbhan. Please bestow your smiling glance on all of us. Affectionate glance. Your smile. That is, the benediction. Please get up. Utthaya. Utthaya, oh my Lord, please get up and help me create this creation. You are the Supreme Lord. So that's how Brahmaji prayed, and after hearing the prayers of Brahmaji, Lord spoke and he replied to Brahmaji, says, don't be anxious, O Brahmaji. Whatever you have desired is already granted to you. Don't worry. Take shelter of tapasya and knowledge. Tapasya and knowledge, they are the shelter of devotees. So all the devotees, they should have these 2 shelters, austerity and knowledge. And when you practice devotional service, you will develop transcendental vision. And therefore it says that don't worry. This creation, it involves so much of Rajogun, but this Rajogun will not trouble you because you are attached to my devotional service. Whatever is required, it will be known to you. Don't worry about that. I will give you all the intelligence. You just follow my instructions and generate the living entities. So after describing, after offering benedictions to Brahmaji, Lord disappeared. And in the 10th chapter, Vidura, he inquires further. How did Brahma, create this universe? Please tell me about the creation, secondary creation done by Brahmaji. So Maitreya, he replies that Brahma, he meditated on the Lord again for 100 celestial years, and in response to that, he saw the lotus. Earlier, he was not able to even recognize, where am I? Then he saw the lotus, he saw the waters of Garbhodak ocean, and he realized that, okay, if I have to create this universe, there are no ingredients apart from this lotus. So he entered the whirl of the lotus and divided the stem of the lotus into 14 planetary systems. And then after this, Vidura, he asks something, says, you have spoken about time many times. Can you tell me something more about time? So in this chapter, Maitreya Muni describes in brief the characteristics of time. He'll describe more in the next chapter in detail. And then after that, Maitreya describes the 10 types of secondary creation. 10 types of creation, sorry. And out of that, 6 types of primary creation, sarga, 3 types of secondary creation, visarga, and 1 is mixed, that is primary and secondary mixed. So we have heard in detail about sarga. What all is created in sarga? Mahatattva, ahankar, then tanmatras, and this pradhan, sense objects and all that, they are created. And what is secondary creation? The creation by Brahmaji. And in this creation, all the jivas, the lower species, and the human beings, they are also created. But there is one creation which is called as mixed creation. That is the creation of devatas. So the sense devatas are created in primary creation also and secondary creation also. That's why they are called as mixed creation. So after describing this, he describes the 3 types of destruction also. And then the further details of the primary creation and the secondary creation are described. What all types of living entities are created in secondary creation. Maitreya Muni describes all that. And then in the 11th chapter, which is entitled The Calculation of Time from Atom. And we have heard in detail about all these technical divisions of time right from the Paramanu. So, and then he describes the various calculations of the years and the yugas. So all that we have heard. That is the 11th chapter. Then in the 12th chapter, Maitreya Muni, he describes the secondary creation of Brahmaji in little more detail. He says, unless a living entity forgets his relationship with the Supreme Lord, he cannot function properly. Should we take a break or should we continue?
Continue.
We can continue, Prabhuji.
Okay, continue. Take a break if you want, Prabhuji, because you are.
If you want.
Yeah.
Okay. So,
5 minutes break, Prabhuji.
No, I'm okay. We'll continue. No problem. So, Maitreya tells that unless a living entity forgets his relationship with the Supreme Lord, Jivera Sarup Hoye Krishna Nityadas, unless one forgets that, he cannot stay in this material world. So first, Brahmaji creates 5 types of ignorance. Sasarja Grayandata Mishram Athata Mishram Adikrit Mahamoham Cha Moham Cha Tamascha Ajnana Vrittayah. So Brahmaji creates 5 types of ignorance. Tamaha, darkness of self-knowledge, darkness in self-knowledge. Moham, illusory bodily conception. Mahamoham, false proprietorship of enjoyable objects, possessiveness. Tamishram, anger after frustration. And Andhatamishram, sense of death. So all this is created by Brahmaji in the beginning of creation. That is the first thing which is created, ignorance. Unless one is ignorant, he cannot enjoy. And then, seeing the sinful nature of his creation, Brahmaji was not so happy. Because he was thinking that is the nature of a devotee. He never likes to give trouble to other living entities, but that is the duty Brahmaji has to do, because there are living entities who want to forget the Lord. So Brahma has to give them opportunity to forget him, forget the Supreme. So that's why he's doing the service, but he's not so happy. So he purified his mind by meditating on the Lord again and again. And after purifying his mind, he created 4 Kumaras. And after creating 4 Kumaras, he gave them the service of procreation. Kumara said, "Hum log to brahmachari banenge." They refused. They said, "We are not interested in all this creation business." So Prabhupada writes, how could Kumaras refuse the orders of Brahmaji? Because if somebody is engaging in higher service of serving the Supreme Lord, then the lower dharmas can be they don't need to be followed. He quotes this verse, Devarshi Bhutapta Nirnam Pitrinam Naking Karunayam Ninicharajan. So they disrespected Brahma and Brahma became angry. Although he knew that they are doing right. But that's the nature. So he became angry, but he didn't display the anger. But the anger came out from the middle of his eyes in the form of a small child, which was having the complexion of red and blue. And child was crying, "Please designate my name and place where I am supposed to live. What is my name?" Brahmaji said, "Because you are crying so much, your name is Rudra. And you have 11 names. And you have 11 residences. I'll give you 11 residences." Whenever one becomes angry, these 11 places get disturbed. Our heart burns, senses, they display all the various symptoms of anger. Eyes become red, nose gets flared up, all these things. So 11 residences, and he tells, "I'll give you 11 wives." You have 11 names, 11 residences, and 11 wives. And now you procreate. And Rudra started creating such fierce progeny that they started devastating the creation of the Brahmaji. So Brahmaji became worried. "Stop your creation. What are you doing? Your progeny is there destroying me and they're even attacking me. You stop it. There is no need to create. You go to forest and you meditate on the Lord. You purify your mind. And when need will come, I will call you." So Rudra, he went to the forest and he engaged in austerity. After that, Brahmaji created the various sages from various parts of his body. And then Maitreya says, in a very hesitant tone, he says, "Actually, we have heard that Brahma was attracted to his daughter Vak." So Prabhupada writes, that the phrase "we have heard," reveals that Maitreya Muni is very sensitive and he is very offenseless in his attitude. He is not, describing this instance with joy or with excitement, because the devotee never likes to speak about the mistakes of others just for gossip. So Maitreya, he just wanted to make a lesson that, this sex impulse is so powerful that even great personality like Brahma can get bewildered. So that's why in a very hesitant tone, he's speaking this, incident, this episode. He tells that Brahmaji, he got attracted to his own daughter Vak, and all the other sons, the Prajapatis, they requested Brahmaji, they tried to give him good advice, but he was so deluded that he could not listen. So when somebody is on spell of lust, no knowledge enters. So then all the sons, these are great sages, they prayed to the Supreme Lord. When nothing works, only prayers work. So then Lord inspired Brahmaji and he realized his mistake. He felt very bad and he felt ashamed of his activity and he gave up his mentality. Bhagavatam says he gave up his body. That means he gave up his subtle body of that sinful mentality. So that's how this verse is this pastime is described. And then the further chapter describes the creation of Brahmaji, secondary creation. He created the Vedas, he created Upavedas, then the fifth Veda, that is Puranas, then he created various type of sacrifices and so many things, so on and so forth. It is described. Then, after creating everything, Brahmaji was thinking, I have created all this, but still the creation is not increasing because all these sages, they are in the mode of so much in the mode of goodness. They are not procreating. Because to procreate, you need passion. So Brahmaji is still worrying, getting worried. Arey, kya kare abhi? Creation बढ़ नहीं रहा है. So as he was thinking like this, two personalities came out of his body, a male and a female form. And that was Swayambhu Manu and Shatarupa. Maitreya says Swayambhu, Manu and Shatarupa gradually increased the population of this universe. They had 5 children, 2 sons and 3 daughters, Priyavrat and Uttanpad, and Devahuti, Akuti and Prasuti. So Akuti was married to Ruchi, Devahuti was married to Kardama, and Prasuti was married to Daksha Prajapati. So after hearing this, Vidura he inquires to Maitreya, what did Swayambhuva Manu do after getting his wife? And I am eager to hear about Swayambhuva Manu. So this looks a little strange because Vidura is a renunciant, Maitreya is a renunciant, and both want to discuss the household life of somebody. It looks a little strange, but Vidura clarifies. He says, why I want to hear about Swayambhuva Manu? Charitam tasya rajarshe tav adi rajasya sattamaha bruhi me shraddhanaya vishwaksena shrayo hyasau. Oh Maitreya, why I want to hear about Swayambhuva Manu? Because Rajarishi. First of all, he's a Rajarishi. He's not an ordinary king. He's a Rajarishi. And he's Adi Raja. He is described as the first king. Bruhi me, please tell us. We are faithful. Why we want to hear? Because this Swayambhuva Manu, he has taken shelter of Vishwaksena. Vishwaksena means the Supreme Lord. So otherwise, I'm not interested in hearing about any king of the world. So, sometime back we took a group, 2 years back, I think we took this group of youth to one of the palaces, one of the places where the king's palace was there. And this guide, he was not a devotee. And he was showing us all these places. This is the bedroom of the king, and this is the place where he would eat, and where his bathroom and all that. So devotees were thinking, what is happening here? We are not interested in seeing all this. So Vidura is clarifying, I want to hear about Swayambhuva Manu because he is a great devotee of the Lord. And anybody who takes shelter of spiritual master, they should endeavor to hear about the great devotees of the Lord from spiritual master.
बैठी होगी ना आगे
तत्तद्गुणानो श्रवणं मुकुन्द पादारविन्दं हृदये Shrutasya, persons who hear from spiritual master, Suchira Shramasya, with great labor. To hear is not an easy thing. Everybody says in ISKCON, chanting and hearing and nikal denge to simple ho jayega process. To hear for a long time is not easy. people who hear from spiritual master with great labor and for a long time, you know what they should hear? Nanvanjasa suribhiridito artha. They must hear from the pure devotee what? Tattad gunano shravanam mukunda. Gunanu shravanam. They should hear about the devotees of the Lord from the pure devotees. That is the very, very important thing. Why? Why we should hear about the devotees? Padarvindam hridayeshu yesham. Because they have caught hold of the lotus feet of the Lord in their heart. That's why I'm asking about Swayambhuva Manu. Because Swayambhuva Manu was a great devotee. So please tell us about that. So Maitreya Muni, he begins to reply when Manu, he took birth from the body of Brahmaji. He addressed Brahmaji. Oh, my father, how can I serve you? Please tell me. How may I serve you? And Brahmaji heard this. He became so happy because just now he was rejected by 4 Kumaras. Nahi karenge seva. And here, Swayambhuva Manu is telling, please tell us. So, Swayambhuva Manu represents the ideal son. Brahmaji is telling, I am very pleased with you, O my son. Pritas tubhyam aham tata swastiyastu. Let all auspiciousness be upon you. You please procreate and fill this entire universe with population, with children. So he gives 3 instructions. Beget children, rule the world with religiosity, and worship the Lord through sacrifices. 3 instructions. So Swayambhuva Manu, he says, okay, my father, let it be. He was ready to abide by the instructions, but then he found there is a problem. Where should I put the living entities? The earth is not there. Bhumandal is not to be seen, oh my father, what to do? Please retrieve back the earth. So now in this chapter, 2 incarnations of Varaha are described in the 13th chapter. First is Shweta Varaha and other is Neela Varaha. Shweta Varaha appeared in the Swayambhuva Manvantar, the first Manvantar, and he took out the Bhumandal from the Garbhodak ocean. Second Varaha avatar appeared in the 6th Manvantar, that is Chakshusha Manvantara, and in that Manvantara, Lord, he took out Bhumandal from the Garbhodak ocean and he killed Hiranyaksha also. So these are the 2 incarnations which will be described. So Maitreya Muni, he combines both of them. He doesn't speak about them separately. So Maitreya continues. When Brahmaji, he heard this, oh yes, earth is not there. He was thinking what to do now. As he was contemplating, a small living entity in the form of a boar came out of the nostril of Brahmaji and immediately became huge in his size, grew as great as an elephant. And Brahmaji wondered, this must be the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And all the sages, they offered their prayers. So this Varahadev, he flew in the sky and as he flew, he scattered the clouds, and from there he dived into the Garbhodak ocean. He went down, he lifted the Bhumandala, put it back in the orbit in this place, and then went back to the spiritual world. But Maitreya Muni continues. When Lord appeared, he retrieved Mother Earth, put it back in its place, and his eyes were glowing in anger, and he killed this great demon Hiranyaksha. And then after this, when the Varahadev killed Hiranyaksha, all the sages, they offered beautiful, beautiful prayers in the glorification of the Lord. The entire chapter is full of the prayers of the sages. Now, in the 14th chapter, Vidura again gets a doubt, again gets a question. He says, I have heard that Hiranyaksha was killed by Varahadev. You just told us. What is the cause of their fighting? Why did Varahadev kill Hiranyaksha? Please tell me about that. And then he tells, please describe the pastimes of the Lord, because I am eager and I am faithful. Shraddadhanaya bhaktaya bruhi tajjanma vistaram rishimena tripyati manah. My mind is not satisfied. So this comes again and again. Every audience of Bhagavatam, they are expressing their eagerness again. Abhi we are not satisfied. Please keep on speaking. Bolte raho aap. Parikshit Maharaj is telling, sages of Naimisharanya are telling, everybody is telling, please keep on speaking. Don't think we are satisfied. Don't think we are bored. No, please go on. So Maitreya, he continues. He says, Brahmaji described the history of Hiranyaksha when demigods asked him. So now the story within the story is going on. So Maitreya, to describe why Brahmaji described about the history of this fight to Devatas, he goes into another story. He goes into the background of that story. He says, now he is going to describe the events which led to the fight between Hiranyaksha and the Supreme Lord Varahadev. So Maitreya Muni, he continues. One day, Diti, who was the wife of Kashyapa, being impelled by the lusty desires, she approached Kashyapa at a wrong time, in the evening time, for union. And she started speaking so many ways. Cupid is torturing me. You have given children to all my sisters. I am the only one who is remaining. I am distressed. Please, you are a qualified husband. Give me also fame. So speaking in so many different ways. Kashyapa Muni is trying to pacify her. He tells, this is not the right time. Your brother-in-law, Lord Shiva's brother-in-law, means Daksha. Sati is a sister of Diti. Your brother-in-law is moving around this time with his associates. Esha ghoratama vela ghoranam ghora darshana charanti yasyam bhutani bhutesha anucharaniha. Ghoratama, this is not auspicious time. And in this inauspicious time, all the ghosts and hobgoblins are moving with Lord Shiva. Please don't do this activity at this time. Lord Shiva will not be happy with this and he will punish us. He's your brother-in-law. Aren't you ashamed to do this activity in front of your brother-in-law? Diti says, I have bid farewell to shyness. Nothing is entering my mind. You have to satisfy me. I am suffering. So although Kashyapa tried in many ways, but Diti was beyond. And she ultimately caught hold of the cloth of Kashyapa, and Kashyapa ultimately obliged and impregnated her. Prabhupada writes in the purport that just see, Haridas Thakur, when he was approached by Mayadevi, he didn't get affected. Krishne nama vishtamana sada Haridas Aranye rodit hoila Sri Bhava Prakash. That is the difference between a devotee and an ordinary materialist or a pious materialist. Although Kashyapa was a great Brahmana, but he was not proper devotee of the Lord Vaishnava. So therefore, he could not control. He just gave in. But Haridas Thakur, he was a great devotee. He was absorbed in the holy names of the Lord. So after Diti was impregnated, then she came back to her consciousness and she started repenting. Oh, what I have done. She went in front of her husband and she regretted. She prayed, may Lord Shiva not kill my womb. Please show mercy to me. And she begged forgiveness from Kashyapa. Kashyapa, he told her, because of your repentance, and first of all, he said, because we have done a wrong activity, this is most abominable. Time was not good. Your mind was polluted, and you neglected my advice. Everything was inauspicious. You didn't care to respect Lord Shiva. So therefore, you'll give birth to two very, very ferocious demons who will be destroyed by Lord Vishnu because of the offense towards Brahmanas. Diti says, please give me one benediction. Let my sons not be killed by the wrath of Brahmanas. Let them be killed by the Supreme Lord. Because she knows that, if somebody is killed by the wrath of Brahmanas, they get a very, very lower destination. So Kashyapa, he became merciful. He said, because you have repented, because of your repentance, because of your patience, because of your respect towards me and the Devatas, your grandson will be a great devotee of the Lord, and his glories will be sung all over the universe. He'll be a Mahabhagavata, and that's how he'll be glorified. So after this, Diti, she was pacified. She knew that my sons will create trouble for the Devatas and they'll be killed by the Supreme Lord. She held her pregnancy for 100 years because she thought, at least if they are inside me, they are alive. If they'll come out, they'll be killed by Lord Vishnu. But by the force of the pregnancy of Diti, the darkness started spreading around in all the directions. All the Devatas, they were getting confused and bewildered. What is happening? So all of them approached Brahmaji. And Brahmaji, first of all, they offered prayers to Brahmaji. And they tell, please solve this problem. We don't know from where this darkness is coming. We are becoming so very fearful. This darkness is about to destroy the entire universe, it seems so. So, and they offer beautiful prayers, and Brahmaji becomes pleased with their prayers. And then Brahma, he narrates the story to all the Devatas of who are these two personalities who are there in the womb of Diti. So he starts the description. One day, my four sons, Sanak, Sanatan, Sanandan, and Sanat Kumar, they went to Vaikuntha with a desire to see the Supreme Lord. And then Brahmaji gives a beautiful description of Vaikuntha, everything about Vaikuntha. What is a Vaikuntha? Who resides there? Vasanti yatra purusha sarve Vaikuntha murtayah ye nimitta nimittena dharmena aradhayan harim. Vasanti, sorry, Vasanti yatra purusha. All the Vaikuntha men, they are Vaikuntha murtayah. They are all having same bodily features as Lord Vishnu. What are they doing? Animitta nimittena. They have no desire for sense gratification. With all their mind and senses, they are dharmena aradhayan harim. They are worshipping the Supreme Lord, Vishnu. Who is the Supreme Lord? Yatra chadya pumanaste Bhagavan shabda gocharaha. Adya Puman, the supreme primeval Lord, is residing there, who can be perceived only by scriptural understanding. Shabda Gocharaha. Sattvam Vishtabhya Virajam. He is the embodiment of purified goodness. Swanam no Mridayam Rishaha. And he contributes religious progress for the devotees. Who else stays there? What? Please tell us about the vegetation and the surroundings of the Vaikuntha. Brahmaji tells, in Vaikuntha there is a forest known as Nishreyasa. There are desire fulfilling trees there. Everything is beautiful, crystal clear, rivers are flowing there. It is all this forest is full of all the flowers and fruits in all the seasons. And in Vaikuntha, all the Vaikuntha-vasis, they have their personal planes. In their planes, they are moving around with their wives. They are not affected by lust. They are always singing the glories of the Supreme Lord Vishnu. Vaimanika salalana charitani shashvat gayanti yatra shamalam shapanani bharatu antarjalenu vikasan madhumadhavinam gandena khandita dhiya apyanilam shipantah. Vaimanika, they are flying in their planes, personal planes. Salalana, along with their wives. What are they doing? Charitani shashvat gayanti. They are singing the glories of Lord Vishnu. And as the plane passes by a lotus pond, a pond full of lotus flowers, the fragrance is carried by the air and reaches their nostrils. And it is so very intoxicating, but they are not affected by lust because they are absorbed in Krishna. What else? The birds of Vaikuntha, they have no envy. When they hear bumblebee, all the birds, they sing beautifully. Paravata, Anyavrita, Sarasa, Chakravaka, Datyuha, Hamsa, Shuka, Tittiri, Barhinam. All these are speaking and singing the glories of the Lord. But when bumblebee comes, they know that this bumblebee is coming from the garland of Lord Vishnu. Kolahalam viramate chiramatra muchai. They all become silent. Why? Bhringadipe harikatha ivagayamane. Eva, they assume that this bumblebee is speaking Krishna Katha. Although bumblebee is just buzzing. That is the glory of even birds. They are non-envious. Even flowers, they all give respect to Tulasi. All the Vaikuntha, men and women, they are beautiful, extremely beautiful, but they never get affected by lust. The description of women comes. All the Vaikuntha women, they are like Lakshmis. What are they doing? They are engaged in brooming the floor of Vaikuntha. Shri Rupini Kwanayati Charanaravindam Leelambujena Harisadmani Mukta Doshaha Samlakshate Swatika Kudya Upetya Hemnim Sammarjati Vayadanugrahane Anya Yatnaha. Shri Rupini, they are like Lakshmis. What are they doing? Charanaravindam, they are always engaged in serving the lotus feet of the Lord. In what form? They are cleaning the Vaikuntha. They have lotus flower in one hand and broom in another hand. Just to attract the attention of Lord Vishnu, they are doing it. Who can go to Vaikuntha? No sinful person can enter Vaikuntha. Yanna vrajantyaga rachananuvada Shinvantiye anya vishaya kukatha matighni. Anybody who is interested in the katha of this world, which is kukatha, which is bad katha, they can never enter Vaikuntha. They are unfortunate. Anybody who is interested in kukatha, the topics of the world, they are most unfortunate. Therefore, Brahmaji says, only a personality who takes birth on Bhumandala, earth, they can go to Vaikuntha. Even Devatas cannot go to Vaikuntha because there is so much of sense gratification in Vaikuntha. They can never even, imagine to go to Vaikuntha because they are engrossed in sense gratification. Only devotees can enter Vaikuntha. So after describing the kingdom of God, then Brahmaji continues what happened at the gate of Vaikuntha one day. So as all these four Kumaras, they reached Vaikuntha. Vaikuntha has 7 gates, and they could pass through all the 6 gates, but at the 7th gate, Jai and Vijay were standing. And as soon as they saw these 4 naked children entering Vaikuntha, immediately they kept their club in front of them. You can't enter inside. And all these 4 Kumaras, they were so angry, become very angry. They said, you are discriminating on the level of our bodies. You are not supposed to stay in Vaikuntha. You are seeing duality in Vaikuntha. You are not qualified to stay in Vaikuntha. We curse you, you go to the material world. And as soon as Jai Vijay, they heard this, they became fearful. They fell at the lotus feet of all these 4 Kumaras and they begged forgiveness. And Chakravarti Thakur writes that because Jai Vijay, they showed mercy on 4 Kumaras, they became, actually they were elevated from Jnanis to devotees. And as all this commotion is happening on the gates of Vaikuntha, Lord Vishnu himself comes out. And then he offers obeisances. He speaks such beautifully to 4 Kumaras. This section tells the heart of the Lord.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, sorry to interrupt. You said that due to Jai Vijay, these Kumaras became devotees of the Lord.
Yeah, I'm just telling. I'll just write that. So, because Jai Vijay is they are the great devotees of the Lord. So, because they became humble, so that's why 4 Kumaras, they received mercy of the Lord. Because devotees of the Lord, they showed mercy by becoming humble in front of the 4 Kumaras. Although these 4 Kumaras, they had committed a sin. It was an offense on their part to curse the associates of the Lord. But because Jai Vijay, they were so very, great that they became humble. And this humility attracted mercy of the Lord. And when seeing the humility of Jai Vijay, actually 4 Kumaras also realized that they have done a mistake in cursing Jai Vijay. So the humility of Jai Vijay and humility of 4 Kumaras attracted the Lord. And therefore Lord appeared on the scene. So if you want to attract mercy of the Lord, humility is the most important thing. So when Kumaras, they saw the beauty of the Lord, first time they had just heard and seen the Lord in their heart. First time in their life, they were now seeing the Lord face to face. And when they smelled the aroma of tulasi, which was offered at the lotus feet of the Lord, their entire existence was agitated with the ecstasies of devotion. Tasyara vindanayanasya padara vinda kinjal kamishra tulasi makaranda vayu antargata swavivarena chakara tesham sankshovamaksharajusham apichitta tanavo tasya aravinda nayanasya padaravinda, lotus feet of the lotus-eyed Lord. At the lotus feet of the lotus-eyed Lord, Kinjalka Mishra Tulasi, Tulasi mixed with saffron, it is always offered. So when the air carried the aroma of tulasi mixed with saffron and entered the nostrils, Antargata Swavivarin, and reached the core of their hearts, what happened? Sankshobham. Generally, impersonalists or Gyanis, they are undisturbed by any emotions. No emotions enter their heart. But now these Kumaras, they were agitated by spiritual emotions. Sanshobham aksharajusham, although they were very properly established in monism, but now they were experiencing devotional ecstasies. So therefore they took darshan of the Lord again and again. And the four Kumaras, they were transformed from impersonal conception, from being Gyanis to become devotees of the Lord. So now Kumaras, they start offering beautiful prayers. They say, oh our Lord, you are never manifested in the mind of a person who is sinful. Only a pure person can approach you. And they offer another few prayers, and then they tell, oh my Lord, we know that we have done an offense by cursing your devotees of the Lord, your devotees. We are ready to go to the hellish situations of life because of this offense, but we pray for three things. Let our mind be always engaged in your service. Let our words always speak about you, and our ears always always hear your glories. We don't want liberation. So devotee is not interested in going anywhere if he is not getting chance to hear about Krishna, serve Krishna, perform festivals for the pleasure of Krishna. Na yatra vaikuntha katha sudapaga, na sadhavo bhagavata sadashraya, na yatra yagyesha makha mahotsava, suresha loko pinavaisha sevyatam. Nayatra Vaikuntha, wherever there is no Vaikuntha Katha, there is no association of devotees, Nasadhavo Bhagavatas Tadashraya, Nayatra Yagyesha Makha Mahotsava, wherever there are no festivals in the glorification of the Lord, Suresha Lokopi, even if it is heaven, devotees are not interested. So Lord, when he appeared in front, all the Kumaras, they were really ecstatic. So now, Lord is also very sensitive. He is thinking that, oh, these four Kumaras, they are becoming very anxious, and they are, feeling sad, and they are fearful. So just to pacify the fear of four Kumaras, Lord tells, oh Kumaras, I approve of your punishment. Actually, I orchestrated all this pastime, and all of you are very, very dear to me. Any offense to my Brahmanas, I take it as an offense to myself. So for Kumaras, they say, if somebody is, so Lord is telling, actually, if my servant commits offense to Brahmanas, it is actually my offense. So I cannot handle anybody offending my devotees of the Lord, my devotees. So therefore, and even Brahmanas. And Lord says, how I have become so powerful? Because I take the dust of my devotees' lotus feet on my head. That's how I've become powerful. Every entire world is behind Lakshmi, and Lakshmi is behind me. She is eager to serve me, although I have no attachment for Lakshmi. He's telling like that. Yat sevaya charana padma pavitra renum sadhya shatakhil malam pratilabdha shilam na shri viraktim apimam vijahati yasya prekshala itare niyaman vahanti. Yat sevaya, because I am serving the lotus feet of my devotees and I am putting the dust of my devotees' feet on my head, that's how I have acquired this disposition of purifying anybody of any amount of sins. That is the respect Lord has for Brahmanas and for his devotees. He says, I enjoy the food which is eaten by Brahmanas. I don't like so much when somebody offers me directly in sacrifice. But if somebody offers food to Brahmanas and my devotees, I am more happy and pleased. And then after glorifying 4 Kumaras, Lord tells, my devotees, my gatekeepers, they have committed some mistake. Let them come back soon. I don't want you to neutralize your curse, but let them come back soon. And hearing all that, Kumaras now reply. So by now, Kumaras, they are pacified. Okay, Lord is not angry with us. So they tell, oh my Lord, we understand that whatever you are telling is just to set standard for people in general. Because if you don't respect Brahmanas, nobody will respect Brahmanas. And you have told that, Lakshmi does not give you up because you serve Brahmanas. But it is not the case. Lakshmi desires to serve you always. You are not attached to Lakshmi. And, she is still serving you. It is not because you are serving Brahmanas. It is because of your greatness. And you are telling you are purified when you take dust of Brahmanas lotus feet on your dust of Brahmanas lotus feet on your head. No, it is not possible. Because you purify the entire universe. And because of you, the entire world, entire universe becomes auspicious. You are doing it all because you want to set right standard. And actually, we committed a mistake. They are now accepting that we committed a mistake. We offended. We cursed your devotees. It is not right on our behalf. Then Lord, he finally reconciles. He says, actually, their punishment was ordained by me. So don't worry. They will return to me shortly. You will just be relieved of the anxiety. Actually, Chakravarti Thakur writes that Lord wanted to experience Virya Rasa. So therefore, he orchestrated this entire pastime. And then Kumaras depart. After this, Lord tells to Jai Vijay, is go to the material world. Do not fear. He will come back very soon. Actually, I could have neutralized the curse of Brahmanas, but I don't want to change my own rules. Because this is what Krishna has established, Lord Vishnu, that Brahmanas' curse are invincible. So Lord says, I don't want to, neutralize that. And he says this departure was actually foretold by Lakshmi. Once Lakshmi she wanted to enter Vaikuntha and you stopped them. You stopped her. That's how she became angry. And she had, told this in anger that you'll go down. You'll go to the material world. So therefore, don't worry. So after describing all that, Brahmaji now concludes the narration. He says, those 2 gatekeepers, Jai and Vijay, they fell down and taking shelter of the semen of Kashyapa, they have entered the womb of Diti and they are creating all this darkness around. So don't worry. In due course of time, Lord will mitigate your miseries. Now you go back. So that's how this chapter ends. So we'll also stop here. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.